Verehrte Frau Vorsitzende, meine Damen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, MEPs, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation, first of all. First of all, I would like to say that Klaus Reiner-Lehner wasn't able to be here this afternoon, and I am in his lieu here as representing the Court of Auditors. And it won't be much longer that you'll have to put up with me, because at the end of this year, 12 years of my term will come to an end. Right over here, Mr. Lazaros Lazarou is in charge of the annual report. Over the next months, you'll see him on a number of different occasions. And here is Mr. Martin Weber, who's the director of the presidency as well. And undoubtedly, you'll have the opportunity to be with him as well on numerous occasions as well. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you once again for the invitation, and I would like, at this point, to give the floor to Lazaros Lazarou. He'll say a couple of words about the annual report, which on the 8th of October of this year, we will be putting out. Thank you very much.
Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I'd like immediately to give the floor to Mr. Lazarou. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henri. Madam Chair, honorable members of the CONT Committee, I will start by congratulating you all for your election and re-election in the recent parliamentary elections. And of course, I congratulate you, Madam Chair, for being elected as CONT-Chair. As my colleague Henri Grethen has said, we are very pleased to be participating in this meeting of your committee. We continue, as previously, to be committed in supporting you and assisting you in your oversight role. And you will be seeing much more of me starting in October when, together with President Lehner, we will present the annual report. I am a member responsible for the annual report and Dean of Chamber 5, Financing and Administering the Union. I've been doing this job for the last 6 years, so I could say that I'm an old hand in this and have had a very good cooperation with CONT, and I look forward to continuing this cooperation. We have adopted the annual report. We will present it to CONT on the 8th of October. As you may have already been informed by President Lehner, we are now in a process of modifying our approach on compliance audit. In collaboration with the European Commission, we are gradually moving towards an attestation model, whereby instead of selecting our own transactions and following the money through to the final beneficiary, we encourage the Commission to make some changes to the control systems, so that if conditions are right, if conditions are met, we can make more use of the work of the Commission and of Member States audit authorities. This entails doing some desk review of the work already done by the Commission and Member States audit authorities, and then doing some re-performance work on the work that has already been done by these authorities. We anticipate that this approach will cut down on the resources that we use on compliance audit, which means at some stage we'll have more resources available to do more performance audit work. As you may also be aware, we have already decided, and starting from next year, we will be presenting a separate annual report on performance in good time, of course, before the discharge procedure. Of course, we'll be very happy and pleased to have your feedback on these performance issues, the issues that would be of more interest to you. This project will develop over time, so we hope that we will reach a stage where you will see much value added in this report. So, concluding, thank you very much again for the invitation to participate in this meeting, and I look forward to seeing you in October for the presentation of the 2018 annual report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that first, if you like, those words of introduction. Undoubtedly, we'll have a lot to discuss concerning this in October when the 2018 report is before us. Indeed, I look very much forward to the cooperation with you. And now, Mr. Martin Weber, I'd like to give you the floor. Thank you.
Madam Chair, sehr geehrte Frau Hohlmeier, members of the European Parliament and colleagues of the Secretariat of Cont. Following those introductory remarks by Henri, Grethen and Lazaros, Lazarou, I will now provide you with some further background information about our institution and the work that we do. The first question here is, of course, so how can we help you in the work that you have to do? You, as members of the Budgetary Control Committee, play a crucial role in ensuring that the European funds of around 140 billion euro each year are spent efficiently, effectively, according to the rules, and probably the most important, in the interest of the Union's 500 million citizens. Our role as the Union's external auditor is to help you in this very difficult task. We are not a political institution, we are a technical one. We don't have power to decide. We cannot punish those who do not respect our rules. And we are also certainly not the best known European institution, but we do have a very specific mandate to audit. And in our capacity as the Union's external auditor, we warn of risks, we provide assurance, and we can offer guidance. Our mandate from the EU treaties enables us to carry out independent checks in all EU institutions and bodies at the level of member states and in the regions and across the world, wherever EU funds are spent. In other words, our auditors go where the EU money goes, and our independent audits based on evidence show what really happens on the ground. Through our work, we therefore play a role in building a more transparent and accountable union so that our citizens can see what is going on. And in this sense, we believe that we also help to maintain citizens' trust in the European Union. Maybe most importantly, when it comes to your task, our findings, conclusions and recommendations can help you, but also the European Commission, obviously, to take the necessary decisions to address shortcomings and weaknesses that have been identified, so that the Union's policies and programs can deliver better results and its financial interests are protected. In this way, we play a unique role within the institutional framework because our technical work may lead to political consequences. When it comes to the Budgetary Control Committee, your committee, you are obviously our key partner in the European Parliament. And quite naturally, we are meant to cooperate very closely. We have a dedicated institutional relations team, so two of my colleagues are sitting here, that will attend your meetings and will make sure that there is a very smooth and efficient workflow and a good exchange of information between us. And therefore, and that is really an open invitation to all MEPs in this committee, but also others, don't hesitate to reach out to us on any aspect that may be of importance to you. So in particular, as has also been the custom so far, so no big change here, we will share with you regularly our timetable for publications of reports, which is produced every quarter, and provide further information on our ongoing work as needed. We will send a confidential copy of each report to the chair of the committee. The rapporteur and the secretariat as soon as the report is ready for publication. We also will be available to discuss informally our reports with the rapporteurs before they are presented in your committee. Always be available to present our work here in your committee meetings and also to contribute to hearings, debates and conferences with a bearing on your work, both in this and other parliamentary committees. Let me also briefly share some additional information on some important aspects of the work of the European Court of Auditors. First of all, how do we select our audit topics? Each year, we select our audit topics on the basis of a risk analysis, taking account of the materiality and the relevance of the subject matter. As part of this process, we reach out to our institutional partners for their input. And in particular, at the beginning of each year, we invite all committees of the European Parliament to suggest potential audit topics. This annual consultation is handled by the Conference of Committee Chairs, now presided by Mr. Tajani. Your committee has always contributed substantially to this process, and this year, I think, has come up with around 20 suggestions for our 2020 work program. As President Lehne informed the chair of the CCC last year, around 40% of the suggestions made by the different committees made it then in our 2019 annual work program that we are currently executing. And overall, our estimate is that more than half, nearly 60% of all our tasks are somehow related to suggestions made by the Parliament to us. Once the College of the Court of Auditors has adopted its work program, which usually takes place in the autumn of each year, it is then made public and also sent directly to the European Parliament. As already mentioned, this is followed by this quarterly timetable in which we indicate how we progress and when we plan to publish each report. And again, this information is sent to you and the Secretariat so that we can plan together. So how do we report our audit findings? We are having different types of audits and reviews. These different types of audit work, they're covering all MFF headings and a wide range of policy areas. So first of all, there are what we call performance audits, or value for money audits, which serve to assess the effectiveness, efficiency, and economy of EU policies and programs. They are usually presented as special reports. We also perform financial and compliance audits on the EU budget and on all EU institutions and bodies. And these audits lead to statements of assurance through which we give our audit opinion on the reliability of the accounts and the legality and regularity of the transactions underlying these accounts, so basically on the revenue and payment side. We present a statement of assurance for the EU budget, the EDF, and EU agencies in our annual reports, but these compliance audits can also be presented in the form of special reports. And through this, we contribute to the annual discharge, the final approval by the Parliament of the Commission's execution of the budget, following the recommendations made by the Council. This year, and this has already been mentioned, we will present the annual report to your committee on the 8th of October. Then in the last 2 years, we have sought to widen our product range in order to address different information needs. And we now also present descriptive and analytical documents of policy or management issues in the form of reviews, either briefing papers or landscape reviews, or when dealing with more specific issues as rapid case reviews. And then finally, in our opinions, we provide our views on new or updated legislation or legislative proposals. Some of these we issue at the request of one or the other institution, while others, where there is a proposal that has an impact on financial management or concerns the methods and procedures for collecting revenue, are mandatory, and we do this on our own initiative. Last year, in 2018, we issued a record number of publications. Besides the annual reports, we published 44 special reports and reviews and 10 opinions, mainly on the Commission's legislative proposals for the next multi-annual financial framework. We have since summarized our opinions on the next MFF, together with some of the reviews, in a document called ECA Remarks in Brief, and all these publications are available online on our website. How do we ensure that the facts are right? When talking about our audit work, it is important to mention that we always ensure, by clearing our findings, that our reports are factually correct, evidence-based, and to the extent possible, fair and balanced. We apply consistently a no-surprise approach throughout the whole process, including when we prepare the reports. That means that in practice we're giving the auditee an opportunity to comment at various stages. There is no legal requirement to clear findings more than once, but in practice we usually clear our observations at least twice. And finally, when we formulate our final conclusions and recommendations, these are derived from the cleared observations and not from any preliminary work that we may have done in the process. And moreover, our annual and special reports are systematically published together with the replies of our auditees. And that is a practice which is not applied by all national audit bodies in the member states. Also, this contributes to ensuring that our reports are fair and balanced. I would also like to say a few words about the highly sensitive topic of protecting the EU's financial interests. Fraud and corruption are perceived by many EU citizens as a significant problem for the EU budget and the EU institutions. In 2015, there was a Eurobarometer survey where around 70% of the respondents said that they thought that the EU budget is subject to frequent fraud, and around 60% considered that corruption is a significant issue in the EU institutions. We cooperate very closely with OLAF, the European Anti-Fraud Office. We forward to OLAF any case that we identify in the course of our audit work of suspected fraud, corruption, or other illegal activity affecting the EU's financial interests. During 2017, this is last year we have published figures, we communicated to OLAF 17 such cases that we had identified during our statement of assurance work or other audit tasks. And the number for 2018 is similar. In this context, it's also important to recall that overall, alone for the statement of assurance, we examine more than 750 transactions. So this number has to be put into perspective. Moreover, in the last 12 months, we have issued 3 reports on the topic of fighting fraud and corruption. There was one on OLAF and the newly created European prosecutor, one on anti-fraud measures by member states in the area of cohesion, and another one on VAT fraud in e-commerce. Now, what are the strategic priorities until 2020 of the European Court of Auditors? Our institution has seen a number of significant changes in recent years. And all these changes were made in accordance with the strategic priorities decided by our college in 2017 for the period 2018 to 20. So we are now in the middle of this period. So first of all, and this has already been mentioned, during the last 3 years we have started to modify our approach to the statement of assurance. The main objective of this reform is to add value to the statement and to provide you with more and better information about the EU's financial management. In the medium to the long term, we would like to move to an attestation approach wherever this is possible in accordance with international auditing standards. And in practical terms, as has already been explained, this means that we would not audit directly, but we would instead rely and check on the assertions provided by our auditees, namely the European Commission, concerning the information it obtains, again, from, for example, member states. We have been piloting this modified approach for 2 years now in the area of cohesion spending. At the same time, we have increasingly focused on assessing the performance of EU spending, mainly by covering a broader range of topics, such as economic financial governance or security and defense, and by looking at areas where the Union mainly acts as a regulator, such as, for instance, air quality or passenger rights, just to give two examples. Since we adopted our strategy for 2018-20, we have also launched more performance audits than ever before. And in addition, as of next year, we plan to issue a separate annual report on performance. We have also launched a number of initiatives to step up our efforts to communicate our products and to get our messages across to our audiences more effectively. First, we have started more actively, I should say, promoting our reports at the European Parliament. During 2018, we made 133 presentations to different committees, 65 at the Council and 15 in national parliaments. And this has been so far the highest number ever. And at the same time, we have also increased our contacts with media and the press. 2018, among other activities, we issued 76 press releases and held nearly 24 press briefings. And we have also invested heavily in social media. And it seems that our efforts are paying off. Our coverage in the online media nearly tripled in 2018, and with considerably more media coverage per special report than in previous years. So it is not only due to the fact that we are producing more reports. For more detailed information, I think we have been making available a copy of our annual activity report for 2018. Like all our reports, this one is also available online, and you can subscribe to our mailing list at any time. You might also find it useful, again, to refer to our indicative timetable of publications, which, as I have already mentioned, gives you an overview of what is coming and what is in the pipeline for the coming months. So, to conclude, I hope that I've managed to highlight some important aspects of our tasks that could be helpful for you, and to have raised your appetite for reading our reports and looking at our work more closely. I also hope that I have succeeded in conveying the message that our role as the European Court of Auditors is unique, since our work, although very technical, can also have political consequences. However, those consequences depend entirely on you, the directly elected representatives of the people of Europe. I can assure you that we at the European Court of Auditors stand ready as soon as your committee resumes its work after the summer to continue working very closely together with you to improve the EU's financial management and make sure that the EU runs better. And finally, allow me to congratulate you again, Ms. Hohlmeier, on behalf of the European Court of Auditors, and President Lehne, who unfortunately cannot be here today, on your election as chair of the committee, and congratulations also to Mrs. Munoz, Mrs. Kinichi, Mr. Blayura, and Mr. Deutsch for their election as vice chairs of the committee. And all of you, please accept my very best wishes for the coming legislative period. Thank you for your attention and for inviting us to take part in this session.